On the news, Nigeria's COVID-19 toll hits 174 as lockdown enters day 3. Police charges officers against human rights violation in implementing lockdown order. And Togo declares states of emergency. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Annetta Felix. As Nigeria enters day 3 of total lockdown in 3 of its major cities, the toll of confirmed COVID-19 cases has surged past 170. On Wednesday, April 1st, the country recorded 35 new confirmed cases, the highest single-day rise since the first case was reported in February. To contain further spread of the virus, the federal government on Sunday ordered a 14-day lockdown in Lagos, Ogun and Abuja, limiting vehicular and human movement to persons providing essential services. The government has now reviewed its directive on the lockdown, stating that markets selling food items would open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every other day. It also directed that supermarkets and pharmacies be allowed to open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., while gatherings of more than 20 people be prohibited. In Lagos, compliance to the lockdown order remains high as it enters a 3rd day. Areas visited by TV360 Nigeria had very limited human and vehicular movement, but with 11 more days to go, some residents in the state have begun expressing worries about how long they can survive without access to basic amenities, though the Lagos state government says it has identified over 200,000 vulnerable residents who will receive support during the lockdown. There still remain some who have no one to turn to during this period.
As you see me now, I'm taking leg now, they go Amukoko. From Lagos Island to Amukoko. Now, since I was born, I never see this cat what happen. Now, table Harry will be our Baba. Make it leave all this way they do now. As for tomorrow, everybody come out.
I came down to Imbo to buy things with my wife, but I can find out that I didn't see anything to buy. So I was surprised. Government said we should be indoor. They should also allow the food sellers and other things to sell for us. As I'm talking to you, I have 5 children at home. They need to eat. Do you understand? Lagos state government should do something. They should help us. They should help the Lagosians, the residents, that people should sell things. You can't tell somebody to be at home, keep somebody, even if it's an animal you keep in the cage, you should give him what to eat, otherwise the animal will die. So they should empower us. Imagine that a pento of Gary is 1,500. My wife went to the market, he told me that Gary is 1,200. I was surprised. So it's not good. They should help the people. And I also plead to the people who are very rich in Lagos that they should bring out their money, share food to people. This is time to show charity. This is time to showcase arms.
Meanwhile, the federal government says it has approved a total of 70,000 metric tons of grains for distribution to the poor and vulnerable amidst the lockdown. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, announced this at a national briefing held on Wednesday in Abuja. Mustafa said the first tranche will go to the frontline state of the lockdown, which includes Lagos, Ogun, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. He added that President Buhari has also approved limited exemptions for companies in the upstream sector to ensure steady gas supply for electricity. The SGF are given an update on developments and actions taken by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, said bottlenecks will be eliminated following the development of an implementation guide, which will subsequently be circulated worldwide. Following the emergence of disturbing videos of security officials harassing and assaulting citizens in cities affected by the lockdown, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has directed state commissioners to monitor the conduct of police officers deployed to enforce the lockdown order. In a statement on Thursday, the IGP directed the commissioners to ensure members of the force carry out their duty with professionalism. He said the pandemic has affected the lives of Nigerians and that police officers must be humane, tactful, and respectful while enforcing the directive. This development is coming hours after a soldier reportedly shot dead a young man identified as Joseph Pesu and a father of 2 in Warri, Delta State. It was gathered that the deceased was killed after he refused to stop his bike when he was flagged down by a team of security operatives on the way. The federal government is making plans to release some prisoners as part of measures to reduce the spread of COVID-19 within the correctional facilities in the country. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola announced this on Wednesday. Aregbesola, who was speaking at the Presidential Task Force briefing on the virus, said the move is to reduce congestion in the prisons and also avert the spread of the virus among a large population. He said the government is already working with the prisons agency to determine the set of people to be released and what measures to ensure that they don't jeopardize the security of the nation. The decision is coming hours after Indonesia released 18,000 inmates from its overcrowded prison system. The UN has called on countries to release vulnerable inmates to curb for the spread of the coronavirus. Plateau State government has directed the closure of all border entry points into the state with effect from Thursday, 2nd of April 2020. Secretary to the government, Danladi Atu, in a briefing on actions in response to the ravaging COVID-19, noted that there will be no exit or entrance into the state except for those on essential services that are to be cleared by security agencies and preliminary tests by health workers. He said the measure is to enable government intensify efforts at fighting the scourge and avoid possible case since there is no confirmation of such case in the state so far. Meanwhile, Ondo State has closed its borders, neighboring Ekiti, Edo, Osun, Kogi, and Ogun State over the COVID-19 pandemic. The closure takes effect from 6 p.m. on Thursday, April 2nd. According to the state statements, the directive, which was given on Wednesday, follows the rise in the number of persons infected by the virus. Ondo State currently has no confirmed case of COVID-19. And a look to ensure doctors win the war against COVID-19, researchers and health practitioners in the country have urged the government to take charge of researchers aimed at finding a vaccine and treatment for the virus. Joseph Minari, researcher and sub-dean at the University of Lagos, Akoka and public health practitioner Tsuyi gave the charge during a chat with TV360 Nigeria. Take a listen.
We need to begin to develop our homegrown solution. It's as if in Nigeria and other parts of Africa, we are just waiting for the Western world to just come up with vaccine. And not only vaccine, you know, even the treatment. And then one thing we must realize why, especially that is peculiar to this COVID-19, although not only most of the viruses, is that they have a genome, as a molecular biology, they have a genome that has a tendency to easily mutate. The curve virus, the curve is we call it RNA positive sensitive. That means it has from the RNA it can just translate. So the tendency of shifting of the genome is very, very high. And the implication of that is what they are working on in some other part of the country, is other part of the world, there's the possibility that it might not necessarily completely be applicable to what's going to happen in another part of the world. So that is why it's very, very important that in this part of the world, we should also begin to think about having our own grown solution of the vaccine or the treatment.
We are not having a full understanding of how this virus interacts in Africa. So right away, yes, there's nothing really wrong in that total lockdown. Because like I said, what that does to you is to slow down the transmission of the virus, the spread of the virus, and two, reduce the burden on our, non-functional healthcare system, and they also give us the window to either do testing or do some research. We need that. Normally, during this lockdown, what we should be doing is increase our testing capacity, and again, increase our information and discussion with people, see how to resolve some other social challenges that may come up, and then redefine, how we're going to interact, with people during the period. Now, and then, if we're not doing testing, if we're not increasing research, then what is the purpose of the lockdown? Because you can never tell. There could be a second wave of this viral infection. We must be able to think beyond a lockdown. We like to throw we like to throw water at every fire we see. That is not the way it is done. You prevent.
And a look at the COVID-19 outside Nigeria, President Faure Gnassingbe of Togo has declared a 3-month state of emergency and a curfew aimed at stopping the spread of the disease. The tiny West African nation of 8 million has so far recorded 36 confirmed infections and 2 deaths from the disease. According to the president, the curfew would be in place for an indefinite period from Thursday between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. Elsewhere, Zambia has recorded its first death from the coronavirus as its number of confirmed cases surges to 3 to 39. Africa now has registered almost 6,000 cases of coronavirus and more than 200 deaths. Senegal has wrapped up talks with the International Monetary Fund to secure $221 million to help it mitigate the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic. The West African nation has reported 175 confirmed cases of the disease, according to the World Health Organization. The IMF said in a statement that the pandemic has led to a drop in remittances from Senegalese living abroad and a shutdown of its tourism sector. Around $147 million of the requested funding will be disbursed from the funds, the rapid financing instrument, with the remaining $74 million coming from its rapid credit facility. The IMF and other multilateral financial institutions are seeking to ramp up support for vulnerable African countries so they can expect to better fight the disease, which experts say could easily overwhelm the under-resourced health systems. The number of Americans filing new claims for unemployment benefits has surged to 6.65 million as the coronavirus pandemic continues to upend the country's economy. The actual figure is believed to be even higher as many people have reported jammed phone lines and difficulties with filing their claims online. The latest figure eclipses the previous week's record of nearly 3.3 million people, according to the Department of Labor data. Spain has also reported a high number of job loss, with the official numbers nearly 900,000 worldwide. Worldwide confirmed coronavirus infections are nearing 1 million. That's according to Johns Hopkins University, which tracks virus figures globally. Its tracker also recorded more than 47,000 deaths, while some 195,000 people have recovered. The Wimbledon Championships has been cancelled for the first time since World War II as the coronavirus pandemic strikes another blue ribbon sports event off the calendar and wiped up the entire tennis grass court season. While the decision had looked inevitable for some time, since the virtual shutdown of all sports and the postponement of the Tokyo Olympics, Wimbledon has been one of the few events not to have been officially cancelled or postponed. But after emergency talks between the various stakeholders over the last few days, the All England Lawn Tennis Club AELCC announced that it was impossible for the grass court Grand Slam scheduled for June 29 to July 12 to take place. The 134th Championships will instead be staged from June 28 to July 11, 2021. Meanwhile, UEFA has reaffirmed that all international matches that had been pushed back to June have now been postponed till further notice. We'll take a break now and we'll return shortly. Do stay with us. Two Chinese nationals who were kidnapped last week have regained their freedom. The victims were abducted at a mining site operated by Greenfield Nigeria Limited in Ishago, Ivo local government area of Ebonyi earlier last week. Spokesperson for Ebonyi Police Command, Loveth Oda, says the victims were released unharmed as a result of the sustained pressure mounted by police operatives. Oda said the victims have since been reunited with their community and that the police is on a manhunt for the bandits. Troops of Operation Gamma Aki of Nigeria Air Force have neutralized some bandits at their hideout located at about 10 kilometers southeast of Pandogari in Niger State. Acting Director, Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Onyoku, said they received credible human intelligence reports indicating that the bandits had assembled under a group of trees at Kalebu village near Pandogari. The bandits were then attacked on March 31st, 2020. Onyoku said the move is in continuation of air operations aimed at flushing out armed bandits from the country. Although most of Nigeria is on lockdown, Abubakar Malami, Attorney General of the Federation, says courts are expected to conduct proceedings on urgent cases. In a statement issued by Umar Gwandu, his special assistant on media, Malami said judges need to attend to matters which are urgent, essential or time-bound. His words, speedy dispensation of justice is a cardinal principle of the justice sector, and time-bound cases need to be treated with dispatch and accorded the required attention, end of quote. Malami's directive has now been communicated in letter dated April 1st and addressed to all heads of courts. You're still watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll be right back.
Corruption not in my country. Mr. John! Mr. John! What is it now?
What is it?
Please turn down the volume of your music. It's too loud.
And how is that your business?
It is disturbing me. I can't sleep.
And the same way you are disturbing my right to good music and where I enjoy it. What's wrong with you? Is there another person complaining?
Maybe we thought that you have lost your mind. Are you having a party?
I'm just respecting you, sir. You remember I paid my husband too.
You will not understand why we are complaining because you do not care about other people except yourself. Look, the transformation we need in this country begins in this compound.
Yes, now.
From you, and I. This, your selfishness is an offshoot of corruption. And corruption,
not in my country.
Go to your bank.
Corruption not in my country.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
You're welcome back. Here's Oyin Adekunle for Business Stories.
Thank you, Aneta. Commercial banks across the country are reducing the thresholds for the amount individuals can spend abroad. This comes as Fidelity Bank and Stanbic IBTC joint counterparts Zenith Bank and Guarantee Trust Bank GTB and lowering dollar spending limits on debit cards. The spending limit for different banks ranges from $300 to $3,000. They say the new spending limit is to avert hitches that may arise from foreign currency settlement. Efforts are in top gear at the Central Bank of Nigeria to shore up dollar reserves, which reporters say were 16% lower than they were a year ago after COVID-19 spurred a free fall in the price of oil, Nigeria's principal foreign exchange earner. A Nigerian banker and founder of Stanbic IBTC PLC, Atedo Peterside, has resigned as a member of the Nigerian Breweries Board of Directors. Nigerian Breweries PLC notified the Nigeria Stock Exchange and the investing public of Peterside's resignation in a notice published on the board's website on Wednesday. Agbebaku, the company secretary, said Peterside recently set up the ANAP Foundation COVID-19 think tank following the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic and needed to focus fully on fulfilling the objectives of the think tank. Peterside joined the board on August 21, 2008 and served as the chairman of the Remuneration Committee and subsequently the Governance Committee during his time on the board. And global oil prices have risen after Donald Trump said he expected Saudi Arabia and Russia to reach a deal soon to end their price war. Brent crude futures rose more than 11% in early trade, and Brent was also up 10.75% to $27.40 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 10.09% to $22.36 per barrel. Trump said he had talked recently with the leaders of both Russia and Saudi Arabia and believed that the two countries would make a deal to end their price war within a few days, lowering production and bringing prices back up. At the same time, demand has been hit hard by shutdowns around the world to slow the spread of the coronavirus. We'll take a short break here and return with Stock Market Review. Despite the fact that investors are still risk-averse towards the equities market, the NSE managed to record slight gains today, recovering from previous days' losses. Crucial market indicators increased by 0.10%, and the market cap equally rose by 11 billion naira. That's up from 10.9 trillion in previous session to 11.007 trillion naira today. And in market summary, we see 255.5 million units of shares worth 2.8 billion. Yesterday, the value of trade was about 1.1 billion, but now today it rose to 2.8 billion, and that exchanged hands in 4,418 deals. And this uptick was impacted by gains in the stocks of Dangote Cement, one of the large capitalized stocks on the market, Flour Mill, GlaxoSmithKline, and of course livestock, which made the market rise today, or the slight gain we saw in the market. These are the stocks responsible for that gain. And on the flip side, we see MTN Nigeria and Nigeria Breweries leading the pack of losers. Market breadth actually closed negative today with 19 losers versus 7 gainers. So MTN Nigeria, Nigeria Breweries, Stanbic IBTC and Zenith Bank are the top 4 losers for the day. And moving on now to the global scene, FTSE and Dow Jones are rising 1.45%, 1.72% respectively. Unfortunately, Nikkei couldn't manage with this uptick in foreign markets, and it closed lower today at 1.37% lower. And that's it from here, Aneta.
Thanks for the update, Oyi. Moving on now, authorities in Congo say some 20 people were killed by a lightning strike on high-voltage power lines in Congo, Brazzaville. The incident happened on the first day of a lockdown in the capital, Brazzaville. Eyewitnesses say one line fell on the house, setting it on fire and killing those inside. The other cable struck a pool of water in a courtyard, electrocuting the neighbors. Some of the dead and injured were rushed to hospital by people in private vehicles as ambulances could not cope with the numbers. Reports say Tyson wants to face fellow Briton Anthony Joshua in a heavyweight unification bout. Metro says that the current WBC heavyweight champion and his team have their eye on an all-British contest, and that's as they try to get Deontay Wilder step aside from their trilogy fight. Team Fury are now said to be assessing their options about whether the fighter can be released from facing Wilder in a bid to provide the lucrative unification bout against WBA, WBO, and IBF belt holder Joshua. Both Fury and Joshua are contractually committed to their next fights, Fury against Wilder and Joshua against Kubrat Pulev at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But the Metro reports details how Team Fury are assessing whether their fighter can get out of his arrangement to accelerate a unification. And that's it on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Aneta Felix.